Alright guys, we're still talking about dividing polynomials. We're going to look at some with special cases now. These are dividing polynomials when you have a missing term. Okay, so if you look up here, you see k to the third minus k, but there's no k squared power. So what we want to do is make sure that when we divide that we have a placeholder. So k plus 5 divided by k to the third. Since there's no k squared, we're going to put plus 0 k squared, and then minus 17k, and then plus 32. And this doesn't change the problem. Putting in a 0, it's like having $0 in your pocket. It's just there's nothing there. It's just a placeholder so that we don't forget that squared term. And you'll see why in a minute why that's kind of important to have it there. And I am sorry, writing on the computer, my handwriting is not too good. Alright, so we're going to divide just like we were in the last video. K goes into k cubed, k squared times. So again, division is opposite of multiplication. So k squared times k is k cubed. And then k squared times 5 is 5k squared. And now you can see like the k squares line up with the k squares, and that's kind of what we want to have a placeholder here. Alright, now we need to subtract. When we subtract all the way across this. So subtract here and subtract here as well. Alright, this one's going to cancel. 0k minus 5k is minus 5k squared. Bring down the other terms. And that way we have everything on this row that we need. Alright, we're going to start over. This first term is negative 5k squared. How many times does k go into negative 5k squared? Negative 5k times. Negative 5k times k is negative 5k squared. Negative 5k times 5 is negative 25k. And again, we are going to subtract all the way across. When I subtract a negative, that becomes positive, and that one becomes positive as well. So this is going to cancel. Negative 17 plus 25 is 8k. Plus 32 comes down. K goes into 8k 8 times. 8 times k is 8k. 8 times 5 is 40. So again, I'm going to subtract. And subtract, and that brings me to negative 8 as my remainder. Okay, like with the others, you're going to put the remainder. Let me see if I can change the color here. Alright, so we're going to put the remainder at the top with the rest of it so that we can see what we have. And I'm going to write it down here again, k squared minus 5k plus 8, remainder negative 8 over k plus 5. Alright, if you wanted to check yourself, you could take this polynomial and multiply it by k plus 5 and then add the negative 8, and you should get the original polynomial. Alright, let's look at this using synthetic division. Alright, this is the same problem, but this time we're going to use synthetic division. So again, we're going to change this to a negative 5. And then we're going to bring down our coefficients. So k to the third coefficient is 1. K squared, just like in long division, there's no k squared, so you're going to put a 0 placeholder. Negative 17 is our linear term, or our k term. And then 32 is our constant term. All right, to do synthetic division, bring the first term down, multiply -5 times 1, and then add. 0 and -5 is -5, and then multiply -5 and -5 is +25, add, and then -5 times 8 is -40. And that's going to bring down -8. Again, we factored out a k, or we divided out a k, so we start with one less than our first term. So we're going to start with 1k squared minus 5k plus 8, remainder -8 over k plus 5. All right, let's do one more example of polynomial division with a missing power. If you look, number 10 has a fourth power, a third power, no squared. It does have a first power and a constant term, so it's missing a quadratic term. All right, again, add in any missing powers with zeros. So we want to add in a 0. So this time let's just do synthetic division. So I'm going to take the -8, make it +8, and then I'm going to bring down my coefficients. So I'm going to have 8, -64. I'm missing a quadratic term, so I need to add in a 0, and 3, and -28. All right, I'm going to bring down my first term, and then I'm going to multiply 8 times 8. I'm going to add. I'm going to multiply 8 times 0 is 0. Anything 0 is 0. So place that here. 0 plus 0 is still 0. And then 8 times 0 again is 0. Bring down. 3 plus 0 is 3. And 8 times 3 is 24. -28 plus 24 is -4. So to write this out, I am dividing x from x to the fourth power. So that means I reduce my x to the fourth by 1. So I'm going to start with 8 x to the third power. I have 0x squared, 0x plus 3. If you want to put in the 0x squared and the 0x, that's fine, but you don't have to. And then you have a remainder of -4, and your remainder goes over your divisor, which is x minus 8. So again, this is polynomial long division when you are missing a term.